What's going on, everybody? Powell here and welcome back to another video. Now, in OpenTTD there are 11 types of cargo available on the default map. And you might wonder, what is the best cargo and does it really matter what I'm going to transport? In this video I will try to explain the differences between all of them, and I will let you know what I think is the best cargo in the game. Well, first of all, we can take a look at the cargo payment rates graph. Here in this graph you can see how much each type of cargo pays you based on the amount of days it is in transit. And well, first of all, big blue line here is the valuables line, and we can see those have the best payment rates and passengers are at the very bottom of the list, with all the other types are a little bit in between. And well, one could immediately say valuables are the best, passengers are the worst. But of course there's much more to that. As you can see, each cargo payment rate will drop down a little bit over time, meaning the longer a cargo is in transit, the less it will pay out. And the way the game calculates that, by the way, is on the New York grid style. So the distance calculated between Uithuismede here and the station right here is based along this axis and this axis right here. So it's helpful to go diagonally on the map. The game will calculate a bigger distance, but you travel much faster and therefore you will have a higher payment rating. Now if we go back to the cargo payment rates, like I said, valuables pay out the most, passengers pay out the least. Valuables, they do come with a big negative on each map. Whenever you generate or start a new map, like I did here, I did start a very normal game right here, 512 by 512 tiles, decent industry, decent amount of towns. But if I go to the industry directory, I get a list here of all the different industries available on this map. And if I search for any banks here, I can see there is just one bank available on this whole map. Meaning we can pick up valuables from the bank right here, but there is no place we can transport them to, because valuables are only generated by banks and accepted by banks. So yeah, well, valuables are the best paying industry out there. We don't have any meaning for them to do something with that in this game. So we need to wait until towns grow large enough where they spawn new banks, and then we might be able to start transporting it. Another big downside for banks is here in Hello World, it is placed at the very center of the town, meaning when we start growing this town, there won't be that much space left to put in a decent station to transport all the different valuables. So you need a little bit of luck that you have at least 2 banks at the start of the game, and they need to be placed a little bit in the outskirts of the town so you can actually utilize it. Next on the list I want to talk about are the passengers at the very bottom. So meaning passengers will generate the least amount of money based on the amount transported, but passenger networks do have a very big positive for them. Meaning whenever you start transporting, for instance, iron ore from the mine here to the steel mill, it means a train will leave fully with some iron ore here, drop it all off, and then the train will leave empty because there's nothing to pick up, meaning its second trip will always be empty and it won't generate any money. Passengers, however, like I did on the line here, will generate on all towns and will be accepted by towns, meaning this town here takes this station here, accepts passengers and mail, and it will generate us passengers and mail, meaning the train traveling back and forth on this line, which is somewhere in the depot, oh, there it is, will bring passengers from town A, drop it off here, generate a little bit of money, and pick up all the passengers and mail waiting here, and then go travel back on the line. As you can see, it will generate me a little bit of money, picked up all these passengers and mail, travel back, and it will generate me some more money. So passengers and both mail do have the big positive there for them that they will always be profitable on both trips. Next up on the list I want to talk about are goods. Goods are the number 2 cargo in terms of payment rates, at least at the start of the graph. I mean, you can see they have a bigger drop-off at the end compared to other types of cargo. But cargo are a little bit different in themselves. Of course, cargo is being generated by 3 types of different industries: sawmills, the production of amount of goods, factories, and oil refineries. But yeah, the goods aren't made out of thin air, meaning you need to deliver either wood to a sawmill, livestock, grain or steel to a factory, or oil to a oil refinery in order to produce goods. So you can't transport goods out of nothing. So starting with a goods line won't make you any money, because the train will be waiting indefinitely before anything is created, of course. So in order to do something with goods, you need another network setup. So goods is not the best thing to start with, of course. Next up on the list, I want to talk about our livestock and grain. They have the interesting quality that they both are being produced by a single type of industry, namely a farm. A farm will produce both grain and livestock, but of course each farm will have a different production rate for each type. So whenever you set up a line going from either of these farms into this factory here, because it's the most nearby factory, it's a much easier setup, of course. It definitely helps if you take a look at the different payment production rates and change your train lengths accordingly to that, of course. Now the payment rates for mostly livestock and grain aren't that high, but they will produce goods, so it's definitely worth starting with that if you want to set up a nice goods route afterwards that. The next thing I want to talk about is wood. Wood is a simple production chain. It's being produced by forests, which look like this on the map. It's definitely a different type of forest than the random generated trees on the map. And the wood needs to be transported to a sawmill, which then produces goods out of the wood. Wood has a very steady payment rate at the beginning of the trip. Only after 40 days it will drop off a little bit, and almost has the same drop off rate as iron ore, but not as much of a drop off rate as compared to livestock or valuables. That's very nice. Then oil almost has the same aspects of that. It also has a very steady payment rate, a little bit less than wood, but it has a lower drop off rate. So meaning whenever oil is long in transit, it will still pay out very decently. Oil will come from oil fields scattered around the map, or oil wells in this case, and they need to be transported into refineries. Refineries are located most of the times near an edge of the water, because later in the game some oil wells on the water will pop up, and then you can transport that oil using boats. And using boats is very efficient for transporting large amounts of goods along a decent distance. So that makes oil as well very profitable. And of course those goods can then be transported to a town for some extra profit as well. Then there are 3 more cargo types to discuss. Coal is the first one up. Coal has a very nice starting payment rate, and it has a very slow drop-off rate as well. So coal being generated by coal mines need to be transported to these power stations along the map, but it's just a one-way route. The power station takes in coal and that's it. It won't generate anything, it won't produce any electricity, and the power stations don't need to be fed coal for your electric trains to operate. So it's a one-way trip, and that's it. You deliver coal, you get some money, and then you can continue your profits rate for that. And the other thing is iron ore, and after that steel, because iron ore is being produced by these iron mines right here. It needs to be transported then to a steel mill right here. See, takes in ore, produces steel, and then steel can then be transported back into a factory. All three of them, iron ore here, steel up here, and then goods up here, you have a decent profit rate. So yeah, iron ore into steel into goods is a very profitable way of transporting your cargo along the map. So to conclude this video's questions, what I think is the best cargo in the game, in my opinion, that would still be passengers and mail. The fact that you can just place a station near one decent town and a station near another decent town and then have some trains going back and forth is the best way to start making money early on, because the trains will immediately make some money, even though it's a little bit in the end, at the start. The towns will grow and will grow around your station, so that means that the station will cover more of the town and generate automatically more passengers for you. And mail, of course, as well. Next up would be coal. Coal is a decent paying cargo. It is really easy setup to generate. Pick a coal mine, pick a power station, transport the coal towards it, and that's it. And no other things to do about it. And last but not least, I would recommend say that the steel line is third best in the game. Iron ore and steel both make a big profit on itself. Goods will make you even more money, but of course that's a more complex setup where you even need to take in account that ore and steel are not transformed one-to-one into steel or goods for that matter. So yeah, if you start any game with any form of competition, I would recommend find the two biggest towns close by, put a slab in the passenger line and start making money on that there, and then from there see if you can find some nice coal routes and expand your network from that. That's my take on the best cargo in OpenTTD. Let me know in the comments what you think is the best cargo and how you start each game. And if you did enjoy the episode, leave a like, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care everybody, bye bye.